Everything seemed okay in Angeline's life. With a happy family and a stable financial life, Dr. Angeline, in her childhood, had nothing to complain about.
Technically, from the outside, didn't really have any problems. My father had a very good job as a sales rep for a pharmaceutical company. We had a lot of financial comfort.
But this harmony in the family began to be threatened when her sister, that is no longer among us, started having a strange behavior of depression. Looking for help, her mother took the advice of a family member that recommended her to go to a so-called spiritual cleanser.
Things went from acceptable and normalized to complete hell. My sister was not getting better. She progressively throughout the years got worse. She would hear voices, more than one. She at times would be very paranoid. She would cut herself.
Angeline got married, but it seemed that the curse that was in her family was now entering into her life. That's when she decided to seek help from a priest.
We contacted the priest. The priest then investigated and said she was not demon-possessed because she was able to take the communion in front of him. Besides that, she had to accept to be exorcised. They couldn't take a demon out of her if she did not give them permission to do so. He wouldn't get out. And then so I challenged him and I said, can you please tell me where that's written in the Bible? When did Jesus ever ask permission to a demon-possessed to take demons out of that person? And he was silent. And he said, I'm sorry, this is what we have to do. And I said, well, thank you. And I started trying to find a solution for her.
In the pursuit for a solution, Angeline took it upon herself to look for help in the occult.
One point, I ended up prick my finger and write my name in a piece of paper in blood. I started getting more involved into reading tarot cards and reading the Oracle, which is a book, created in Egypt about trying to guess your future, I Ching, which is Chinese, and I wanted to have control of my life.
Control was something that she was losing every day. Her mother had suddenly passed away. Her father became an alcoholic, and her sister's mental illness only got worse.
I read a book of one of the major priests in Italy that does exorcism, and one of the journalists was interviewing him, and he said, why you're not afraid of facing those demons? And at that time he said, because the Virgin Mary protects me. She goes with me in the room. And then I start questioning. I said, wow, the Virgin Mary protects you, so she'll protect me too. And I challenged Satan at that time in a verbal tone. I said, Satan, you can, come with 1,000. I'm gonna go with 10,000 against you. It's done for you. And I think that looking back now, it was the mistake of my life because I had no protection. My patients would tell me that they wanted to kill themselves. And, I remember to this day, one of them said, we were in the 7th floor. If I could open this window, I would jump. And I thought to myself, join the club. But I would, of course, I couldn't say that. I had to pass to that patient something, to give that person hope, even though I had no more hope. At that time, the devil had full control of my life. I was just a little puppet in his hands. And I started having visions of me in the tub with my wrists open and the tub filled with blood. And this intense voice telling me, do it.
Angeline had reached rock bottom, and it was impossible to hide it. That was when someone invited her to attend one of the services at the Universal Church. Little Angeline knew that this invitation would change the story of her life.
I started participating on the Friday chain prayers and the Sunday, chain prayers. He told me to do 7 Fridays and 7 Sundays. I think my process of deliverance was very difficult, especially because my work as a psychiatrist, working with the mind. Many times I went to church with tears in my eyes driving. Some force would tell me not to go. So that's how my healing process started. I had to learn, how to live a life that was defined, not just having an affair with God when I needed, but really surrender my life to God. I became a tither, wanting to be baptized in the waters. I started to understand that there was a solution for me.
Now, Angeline's life was taking a different direction, but the best was yet to come.
I started going to the Wednesdays, I started going to Fridays, then, the Sundays that I was going, then Mondays. And during that process, I started understanding from the pastor and the preaching that there was something more. And I was in the closet seeking the Holy Spirit because I wanted to isolate myself from everybody in my home, which my niece at that time lived with me. And it was this inner kind of sense of completeness that came upon me. It wasn't an emotion. It was this intense sense of security that I belong. I belong to Him. That not a voice, I wouldn't say it's a voice, but something internally that says, I am with you. And there is no words. I'm sorry. My life started really beginning to be realigned and transformed. I was able to work even more. I started having love for my patients and their soul. God has been able to transform my life with somebody that has the same faith, which is very important to me. Financially, we're very stable. We have 2 cars, we have a house, I have my own clinic. There is that internal reassurance that no matter what happens to us, that's not the end. And that brings a tremendous amount of peace and joy.